My name is Mark Rubel, and we're in Blackbird Studio C. It is the only room of its kind in the world. We have 134,000 and some sticks that are all different lengths in the walls so that the resonances don't overlap. It's one of the most incredible and unique sounding rooms in the world. I figured out the other day that my parents gave me a tape recorder before I had a record player, so I was actually making recordings before I was listening to them, which I think is significant in the way I've spent my life. Grew up in Champaign, Illinois, what I call the former center of the universe now that I'm here in Nashville. After I got out of college, some friends of mine and I started a little sort of post-hippie collective recording studio with a minimal amount of very good equipment. I got elected engineer and we started making records in 1980, and I've been doing it ever since. This is my 31st year of teaching audio. In 2007, I was driving down to Nashville with a van load full of Millikan students, and I called Blackbird Studio. People had been telling me that I would love it. It's, you know, the Shangri-La, the Willy Wonka chocolate factory of audio. And they said, oh, sure, John McBride, the owner, will meet you here and give you a tour. Fantastic. So we drove in and just hit it off instantaneously. He gave us a 3-hour tour, and we just kept in touch. And then one fateful day, we had the following telephone conversation, which was, how are you, John? I'm fine. Would you be willing to talk to my students when you're in town? Yes, absolutely. So what's been going on? And he said, well, I think I'm going to open a recording school. And I said, John, yes, I'm going to be your teacher. So even though I was very happy and comfortable in Champaign, Illinois, it was an opportunity that I had to take. So I quit my university teaching job and closed my studio, which was thriving, and moved to Nashville. Nashville is very much the center of the music universe, and Blackbird is kind of at the center of that. So more and more people are moving here from Los Angeles and New York who are experts and ninjas at making records, and they all come in and educate our students. And now I get to bring in all of these amazing people, and I'm frantically taking notes and learning amazing things all the time and rushing home and researching all the stuff that I learned that day. So it's been an incredible experience getting to create the recording school that I had been building in my head for decades and make it real. So Pogo Studio in Champaign, Illinois, which will soon be reopening in Nashville, was a very unique studio and is a unique studio. And one of the things that's cool about it is just that there's a lot of musical equipment and noisemakers and sound and artifacts and objects. I like to find things really everywhere. I go to radio stations and music stores or talk my way into the back or the attic or the basement. I'm interested in the older stuff just because it has a story, it has a character, it has a personality. The areas where I especially like analog technology are the outer ends of it. So microphones, guitar amps, instruments that have character and that have chaos in them. I think things that are too predictable are not as interesting to us. So this is a Sarge amplifier. It's built into a medical instruments box, and it is a Hammond organ amplifier that's put in a different case. It's just a fantastic sounding guitar amplifier. I've known Ben Jude since he was a student at the University of Illinois, and I think I was his first customer. A lot of people ascribe magic powers to vacuum tubes, but a big part of what sounds great about a tube amplifier is the transformer, and it's how the how the power comes out of the amplifier and the match between the transformer and how it saturates and how the tubes work. And it's wonderful to have something that is, has its personality and has its quirks. So it's been a great tool. I've been a big proponent of these amps since they came out. Being here in Nashville, I try to get other engineers to use them and producers. I casually left one lying around Vance Powell's studio for a while with the hopes that Jack White would find it and start using it, and that actually worked. It was on his last record. Over here we have an unusual amplifier. This looks like a road amp. It's made out of folded up street signs. It's actually a Sarge in a different case. This is a kind of a hybrid, but it's a beautiful thing. It sounds great, and it has a railroad crossing sign, and it says playing on the front, which is very appropriate. I tend to use this amp with different cabinets. It sounds great with single 12s, I found. I'd like that, with such a simple device, 3 knobs, you really have a wide array of sounds. We get a lot of bands that come in and a lot of studio projects with session musicians where the music is played in real time. That's one reason that an amplifier like this is helpful, because we need to get a great sound at the time. But that's one of the things that is amazing about Nashville, and I think one of the reasons that it's increasingly the center of the musical world. A typical session here with session musicians, they walk in, they may never have heard the music before. We might play it once off a demo of somebody's phone, and they, in 3 hours, will get 4 master quality records. It's interesting to see the trends in the recording world, where we have one trend towards manufacturing songs and programming them and so forth. But we're also seeing a return to the type of recording that was done in the early days, in the 50s and 60s and even before that, where people play in a room together. In some cases, even with things like the Chris Stapleton record, where it's a band playing around one microphone and they're balancing themselves by how loud they play or where they're standing. And you know, you really get what we're trying to get, which is we're trying to capture magic. I think music is one of the most important things that human beings do. I think it's important to everyone, partly for physiological reasons. It's tied directly into the limbic system, which is the emotional part of the brain. It, as we all know, it triggers memories, it triggers emotions. It's one of our ways of processing our lives and everything around us. It's a method of communication that everyone understands. There are no cultures that don't have music. And I think it's probably one of the best things that human beings are capable of doing, right? They can be kind or excellent. They can generate medical inventions. We can explore space. But I think the creation of music and other arts is about the finest thing that we do as a species. And so it's vitally important that it's done as well as we can do it.